folks. I am here with Gerorge Maragos. He is running for county executive for Nassau County. He is currently the controller for Nassau County. Okay, George, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I've seen you at a lot of occasions. You are part of the community and you are really connected. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And I'm a tireless worker.
Okay,
and
great.
that has been my asset and my advantage in all my endeavors throughout my life.
Okay, great. So, George, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your background.
I'd be delighted to. I'm an immigrant, like many of our residents, and certainly the South Asians, Indians, Pakistanis. I left. I was born in Greece. We left when I was 8 years old to escape poverty. And I tell people my family was the poorest of the poor in the village. Mm-hmm. We went to Montreal, where I attended McGill.
McGill University.
I was high school valedictorian.
Wow, smart guy.
Then I went on to McGill, graduated with an electrical engineering degree.
Same here. I'm an electrical engineer too.
So we have a lot in common there.
Absolutely.
I started to work with the Bell system in Bell Northern Research, where I rose very rapidly to become the youngest manager of a department at 25 years old.
Wow.
I was then recruited in 1978 to come to the U.S., where Booz Allen and Hamilton, which is one of the premier consulting
you worked
firms.
for Bell in Canada?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I was recruited to come to New York by one of the leading premier consulting firms in the U.S., Booz Allen and Hamilton.
Yes.
To work on defense control and command systems.
Okay.
Then I got an MBA in finance and moved over to banking.
Where did you go for your MBA?
At Pace University in Manhattan.
Right downtown, right?
Yes.
Across the street, somewhere close to the City Hall.
Exactly, very close to Wall Street.
Okay,
actually.
yes.
And then I moved from engineering and IT into banking and finance, rose to become a vice president at Chase Manhattan Bank, then moved on to Citibank, where again I was director and vice president.
Okay.
And then in '89 I started my own company, a little company back then, actually competing with Bloomberg and Reuters.
Okay,
I'm not a Bloomberg.
What is that? What was the type of business that company?
Financial information services to brokerage firms, stock exchanges, banks, financial institutions.
Is that company still around? Or?
Yes, it's still around. It's doing very well. My two sons have taken it over, and I'm proud to say they're doing very well. They don't need me, but they do send me a check once a month, and that's great.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
Very good. So I guess you build a lot of financial acumen from your time at Chase and Citibank. So tell us, what were your major accomplishments at Citi or Chase Bank? What did you do which was innovative?
Well, the big accomplishment was to build a global electronic fund transfer system that the bank used. If you recall, we're going back in the 80s, which seems like generations ago.
Right.
But in effect, there was no electronic fund transfer. There was, wire transfer and telexes that were being sent. If you can, imagine
back in the days, yes.
To authorize, a fund transfer to send money overseas, even interbank. So we put together a network and an organization to facilitate the electronic transfer of money in very secure, and advanced methods.
Oh, wow. So that was your innovation that you introduced at your time at Citibank and Chase.
Yes.
So then tell us a little bit about how you kind of came into Nassau County and became the controller. I guess controller is the financial controller who manages the budget and everything.
Yeah, it's similar to the chief financial officer of an organization, with the important distinction is that I don't report to the county executive or to the legislature. The controller is independently elected by the people every 4 years.
Okay.
And not only am I supposed to look after the county finances and make sure that we have balanced budgets, but also be a check and balance on the administration and the legislature. So it's almost an equal branch of government.
How long were you a controller of Nassau County?
Well, now I've been a controller for the past 7.5 years, almost going on 8 years. So I've studied, I know government inside out. I know where the waste, where the fraud is, where money is being spent and what should be their priorities.
So tell us, what is your standing in terms of what party you represent and who's running against you? Do you have to go for a primary, or you just jump into the November election?
Well, I was first elected as under the Republican Party.
Okay.
About a year ago, I switched to the Democratic Party because as an immigrant, I didn't feel I belonged in the Republican Party. Some of the social values and economic values had evolved over the last 4 years, and I felt that my values were more aligned. And as an immigrant, my values had become more aligned with the Democratic Party. Okay. So I made the difficult decision to stand up for what I believed in, my values, and switch my registration from Republican to Democrat.
Okay, so right now you are a Democratic Party candidate for the county executive position.
That is correct.
Okay.
There is an important Democratic primary coming up on September the 12th.
What major accomplishment as the controller of Nassau County? Give us a little quick brief overview, George, if you can.
Sure. First of all, I believe that in my 8 years I served honorably and with distinction. If I had not come into government bringing my business expertise and a psychology where government should not spend more money than it has, that it anticipates receiving, I feel, and given that the property tax increases that were legislated in the system, people would have been paying 30% more in property taxes today than they are. We eliminated annual property increases that had been legislated of 3.9%, every year, okay, which means times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. Compounded, that's even probably greater than 30%. Right. So I've been able to achieve that by refusing to approve wasteful and unnecessary contracts, demanding value in all the spending, being a good watchdog over the administration and the legislature spending. The long-term debt of the county has decreased, if you can imagine, in the last 8 years, not increased. Because I've been a very strong advocate against borrowing. Okay. So I think my 8 years has been extremely beneficial to the taxpayers, resulting in them paying lower taxes and at the same time reducing the long-term debt of the county.
Okay, perfect. So you bring a lot of experience of being a watchful guy over the budget. And now the next challenge is to be the Nassau County Executive. Okay, now this is a big position, right? Describe a little bit of what this position entails, what kind of controls you would have, and what is the plan in terms of what are you going to want to achieve as a Nassau County Executive?
Well, the Nassau County Executive is the chief operating officer of the county, or in some regards like the mayor of a big city. The county executive sets policy, has to have leadership qualities, and we are facing as a county significant challenges ahead. We're one of the highest tax counties. Even though we haven't raised property taxes, we're still one of the highest property tax counties. People cannot afford to continue paying the high property taxes that we have. We're not creating affordable housing. Our infrastructure, our transportation, public transportation system is failing us. As you hear, the Long Island Railroad almost every week has a problem of derailment, delays, etc. Our young people are going off to college and they're not coming back here because we're not creating those exciting, high-paying opportunities, jobs that we should have. We're not doing enough, about protecting our environment and our water supply that is very susceptible to contamination.
For the immigrant population of New York state, what message do you have in terms of their civil rights? How would you go about protecting the civil rights of the immigrants, especially Pakistani American and the Muslim Americans?
Well, first of all, I've been a very strong advocate against the Trump aggressive immigration enforcement policy. I actually, about 6 months ago, I brought together the leading immigration advocates after we had did an analysis of the county's immigration policies and its cooperation with ICE. and we found that we did not, each of the law enforcement agencies did not have a uniform policy.
Okay.
And each one of those policies, though, had one thing in common. They would not guarantee the due process rights, of our residents, whether they were legal or illegal. And there was no ability or no process to guarantee their due process rights, which, as you know, is a very fundamental constitutional right that every resident, every American should enjoy.
Quick question. How can our viewers support you if they want to come out and they live in another county and they obviously cannot vote for you here? How can they support you and help you?
Well, the best way, if they have relatives or friends in Nassau County, they should call them up and remind them that they should get out and vote on September the 12th for Gerorge Maragos. It's critically important for all our residents in Nassau County to come out and vote, because it means that they have the potential to pay lower property taxes, to have more affordable housing, and improved public transportation system. So please come out and vote, exercise your right. It can make a huge difference, in your pocketbooks and in the quality of your life and in the future of your children. Thank you.
And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for being on our show. And we're going to submit this podcast to our viewers and help them make the decision for the next county executive election. Thank you, Gerorge.
Thank you very much for having me.